Giving props to the props masters. You're watching an action movie and a fight breaks out in a pub. People hit each other with chairs and glass bottles. One man nearly stabs the hero with a knife. It's such an exciting scene that you forget these actors are using props. A prop, or property, is any object used as part of a performance. Rarely do movies, TV shows, or plays take place without props, and here are some common ones. Breakable props. These props are designed to break in a safe manner. Breakable glass is sugar glass, which is made in the same way as candy, but with extra syrup added to keep it transparent. Getting hit over the head with a breakable glass bottle feels like a hard tap, but the noise is impressive. Silent props. In the real world, objects are noisy. However, directors don't want these noises in the background. The solution is silent props. For example, a silent paper bag which is made from vinyl cuts the rustling noise of a real bag by about 90%. Retractable knife. This is a prop knife with a blade that disappears into the hollow handle when pressed against something. Similar props include retractable needles and swords.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany.
I'm Tiffany.
And I love this article for today. It's called Giving Props to the Props Masters.
Wow.
Yeah, because I love watching movies and I love watching like films. And actually I really like to learn about like what happens behind the scenes and like how do they do that or how do they film this or how do they make the, you know, the props and the sets. So I love learning things like this.
So you must like action movies.
Sometimes like
okay.
It depends on what kind of action movie it
Sci-fi?
is. Sci-fi, I like sci-fi
Thrillers?
movies. Yes, I love those.
Yeah, thrillers are my favorite.
Yes. Action movies, like, it depends. Like, the Fast and Furious movies, like, after the 5th one, I think I stopped watching.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's, like, too much action for me. It's, like too much of a boyish movie.
Yeah,
so,
kind of.
Yeah, so that one's okay. But anyways, we're going to learn all about props and these people called the prop masters, okay? Let's start reading the article. It says, you're watching an action movie and a fight breaks out in a pub. When something breaks out, this phrase is more used when something unpleasant or dangerous happens, like maybe a fight or a war. Like, it just means that it started very suddenly. For example, we can say war broke out in Europe in 1914, causing World War I. Or we can also say forest fires often break out in California because it's dry and hot.
所以呢 break out 这个就是有一种爆发发生的意思，可以是斗殴啦、疾病、灾难或者是战争等的发生。所以有时候我们突然开始出现 to break out in a rash or to break out in a sweat， 那个如果是 sweat A 可以不用放没关系，又或者是放也可以。好，就突然开始出现红疹啦、冒汗都可以。比如说 the child broke out in a rash after eating some shrimp.
Oh yes, if you have allergies, you might break out. Okay. Next, we also saw the word pub, and it's a noun. It's a place where people can go and drink and meet with their friends. Pubs mainly serve alcohol and some food. So yeah, you can go visit if you're legally old enough to drink, or if you're illegally allowed to go. I know going to a pub is more of a British UK thing, and it's supposed to be like a very casual kind of feeling, and it's really, really different than, you know, going out to a nightclub for drinks or going to a bar for drinks, okay? For example, we can say J.R.R. Tolkien wrote and discussed the story of Lord of the Rings in a pub in Oxford, England.
所以 pub 就是酒吧的意思，所以当地的酒吧就是 a local pub 就是当地嘛 local， 然后去酒吧就是 go to the pub。 那刚刚 Tiffany 有提到这个就是其实比较像英国会讲的 pub， 比较通常是英国的英文，所以如果你再看一部动作片，酒吧里面就有人在打架。 I hope it's not for real. Of course it's not, but
Yes.
it was a movie.
Yes, they make it look real.
Yeah.
The magic of movies. Okay, next the article says, people hit each other with chairs and glass bottles. One man nearly stabs the hero with a knife. Yeah, so whenever you see like a fight scene, especially in the pub, the first thing is chairs, glasses, and knives, or somebody has a knife or something. Now, we saw the word stab. It's a verb and it means to push a sharp, pointed object like a knife into somebody. Now, stabbing can cause injury or even worse, death. But we usually don't stab objects. Like we usually poke or puncture objects. So you wouldn't stab a box. Instead, you would poke or puncture a box. Okay. Now we can use stab in a sentence like this. We can say the sneaky ninja found his enemy and stabbed him in the back.
哦，好可怕！所以
yes.
就听起来这个字听起来很痛，你不觉得吗？我觉得啦。好，所以 stab 就是刺或戳或捅一个人谁，所以如果你捅到一个人部位哪里，就是 to stab someone in a certain part of the body。所以比如说 she stabbed him in the leg with the kitchen knife， 或者是 stab you can also use it as a noun。所以它如果是一个名词，通常是突发，突然一阵感觉，比如说 stab of envy， 突然一阵嫉妒心。比如说 Ellen felt a stab of envy when she knew that her crush had been dating her best friend.
Oh my
That's a little
gosh.
sad, yeah. 不要，没关系 ，There's a plenty of fish in the sea. 不用担心哈。所以人们用椅子呢和玻璃瓶互相殴打，然后一名男子差点用到刺伤了片里面的英雄。So I guess the glass could be fake, or maybe the bottles.
Yeah, maybe it's like candy. But also, you're speaking the word stab, like with your sentence. Okay, not just the stab of envy, but then you can also say to stab somebody in the back. It's a phrase that can also mean to betray someone. So not only is, I feel like that's also to stab somebody in the back.
对，差不多，就是在后面暗中的去弄别人。
Yeah,
right?
evil. I don't like
就是很
those people.
sneaky. I don't like
Yuck. Snakes. Okay, next in the article it says, it's such an exciting scene that you forget these actors are using props.
对，因为太刺激，然后太真实，其实他们这些演员是用道具，就是 props。
Now, the article says a prop or property is any object used as a part of a performance.
OK， 所以这个 props 就是电影的道具的意思哦，那它可以叫做 prop。通常我们口语讲 prop 啦，我们不太会讲 property。I think we usually just call it a prop, right? 所以就是用作表演的一部分，任何的用品、道具都算在里面。
Actually, I didn't know prop was short for property.
Me either. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's something we learned as well.
I thought a property would be like a house or like something that you own.
But I guess it makes sense. Maybe it's something that the movie sets own, and they just just say props for short.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. I didn't know that as well. But here in the article it says, rarely do movies, TV shows, or plays take place without props. And here are some common ones. Okay, so later we're going to learn about some common props we use on movie sets. We also saw the phrase take place. Take place means to happen or something is happening.
OK， 我们今天的 Language in Focus 要讲否定副词的倒装。那我们英文中呢，有时候会看到否定副词，它是放在句首的倒装句型。那这个倒装句型其实只是用来加强否定的语气。可是否定副词倒装句呢，在我们口语上使用频率蛮低的，我们大部分都是用在写作上。那常见的否定副词呢，有以下这些，像鲜少就是 rarely， 几乎不或几乎没有就有 barely, hardly, scarcely.little 或从未绝不就是 never in no way 这些都蛮常见的。所以比如说 a grand jury rarely publicly disagrees with the prosecutor 就是代表说大陪审团很少公开去反对检察官的观点。所以我们怎么倒装呢？就是 rarely does a grand jury publicly disagree with the prosecutor。所以呢，我们文章中看到的片语 take place 就是举行或发生，这个字只有主动式哦，不会说 was taken place， 不要这样讲，它只有什么东西 takes place。所以电影、电视节目或戏剧很少没有道具的。那以下呢是常见的道具 ，What's the first one?
Okay, the first one is breakable props.
Okay.
It says here, these props are designed to break in a safe manner. So when something breaks or is breakable, remember break is a verb and we can turn it into an adjective by adding able to the end. So it means that you can break these things very easily.
所以 breakable props 就是这些道具的设定，可以安全的，他们是可以以安全的方式被打碎的。
Here it says breakable glass is sugar glass, which is made in the same way as candy, but with extra syrup added to keep it transparent. Okay, so like the bottles that we see in the pubs and how they break, it's actually made of sugar or some type of syrup. Now, syrup is a sweet liquid made of sugar and water, so it's clear. When you go to the boba tea shop and they ask you how sweet you want your boba tea, they usually add syrup into the drinks. And when something is transparent, it means you can see through it and it's clear.
对，所以 syrup 就是糖浆，那么透明的另外一个透明的英文就是 transparent， 所以其实易碎玻璃的原理就是糖玻璃，制造方法跟糖果一样，不过它会添加额外的 syrup， 也就是糖浆，去保持这个看起来很透明 ，so it looks like glass.
Yeah, so it looks very real. It says here, getting hit over the head with a breakable glass bottle feels like a hard tap, but the noise is impressive. Tap here is a noun and it means to hit somebody or something quickly and lightly. So you can tap someone lightly on the shoulder or tap or to knock on the door. For example, we can say, I felt a tap on my shoulder and when I turned around, it was my silly brother.
所以 tap 就是轻敲或轻拍的意思 ，so to tap on someone's shoulders， 所以就是去敲人家的肩膀。所以比如说 ，I almost had a heart attack when she tapped me on the shoulder， 可能我没有发现，然后她突然敲我就吓到。所以呢，这些易碎的玻璃呢，去敲击头部，其实就感觉像用力敲击，可是它的那个噪音其实让人家觉得哇，好酷哦，怎么这么大声，印象深刻。
Right, so they must be thinking, whoa, like it really is glass. It looks like it hurts. Okay, next we also have silent props, okay? In the real world, objects are noisy. However, directors don't want these noises in the background, right? When you're filming something, you don't want to have all this like all these things going on in the background when you're filming because when you're watching the movie, you're like, it's so noisy, I can't hear. So when something is in the background, it means that they're less likely to be noticed because maybe it's not that important. Like you can imagine if you're busy cleaning the house or maybe doing homework and you don't want your house or environment to be too silent, maybe you can play some music in the background. That means the music is there, but it's not too loud to distract you from what you need to do.
所以 in the background 就是声音在背景声中或隐约听见的。那我们下一个看到的这个道具叫 silent props。所以现实世界中呢，物品会产生噪音嘛？那其实这一些小噪音杂讯，导演都不会希望有这些在背景当中。所以 so it sounds clean.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear the actors and their dialogue much clearer. Next, the article says, the solution is silent props. For example, a silent paper bag, which is made from vinyl, cuts the rustling noise of a real bag by about 90%. So a paper bag, remember, if you move it around, it makes this rustling noise, like it's super noisy. But we don't want that when you're making a film because maybe somebody's like in the background doing something. They don't want that. Here, let's take a look at some words first. So when something is made from, this phrase means it's made from something and it comes from that. For example, that desk is made from trees. Next, we see the word vinyl here. It's actually a strong type of plastic that can bend easily. So you can use it to maybe cover your floors or furniture or to maybe even cover like when people like fall down or something. People also used to use records or, you know, the big CDs or discs that you might see at your parents' or grandparents' house. Yeah, those are called vinyls. They used to make records out of that material. We also see the word rustling here. When something rustles, it means it's a sound you hear if it's dry and light, like maybe the leaves in the fall or maybe your potato chips bag. Now, rustle can be turned into an adjective, which is rustling.
所以呢 A 什么东西 is made from something， 那就是A 是由 B 制成的，那有时候通常是有经过化学变化，我们才会 made from。那我们讲到的 vinyl， 这是一种chemical I think， 一种 material， 它的有一种物质，那中文很难哦，叫乙烯树脂。那老师刚刚讲到的 vinyl records， 那个就是黑胶唱片。 那像那个 rustling 这个就是那种沙沙作响的声音，可是这样子怎么解决呢？就是静音道具。像来说，相较于真实的纸袋，这样子 vinyl bags 他们的制造的静音，它可以产生的沙沙声减少大约 90% 左右，所以就可以比较不会那么吵。
That's super cool. Next, another popular prop we see on set is the retractable knife. Okay, yes.
I love this one.
Yes, it's super important if you have like an action film or fighting film. Okay, it says here, this is a prop knife with a blade that disappears into the hollow handle when pressed against something. When something retracts, it means to pull back. So a retractable knife means the knife can go out and back in again. Let's take a look at the word blade. Blade is a noun and it's the flat part of the knife, tool, or machine that has sharp edges and it's used for cutting. So objects that have blades are of course a knife or maybe a razor for shaving, like an ice skate. Helicopters also have blades, but helicopters, the blades are not used for cutting, but they're used to kind of funnel you up and let you fly. We can use blade in a sentence like this. Be careful not to point the blade of the knife towards anyone. It's very dangerous.
OK， 所以呢，这个 blade 就是小刀、工具的刀刃的意思。所以像男生用的剃胡刀片就是 razor blades。所以比如说，she slashed her wrists with the razor blade。该不会想自杀吧？不要吧
Oh my gosh, don't do that. That's really bad. That's only in the movies, okay?
对
People do it in the movies, okay?
Right.
Don't do that in real life.
真的很痛哦，你会后悔的。
Yes, and you will die. So don't do that. And if you need help, call somebody.
Yeah,
call your friends, tell somebody. Okay, but let's take a look at the word hollow. It's an adjective and it means to have a hole or empty space of something. So imagine having like a solid object and then removing the middle part away. When we remove the middle part away, we can describe that object as being hollow. So that means if it's solid, it means it's really heavy, right? If you empty out the middle, it will mean that it's very, very light. For example, we can say, a lot of tiny animals like to hide in the hollow tree trunk. It's the perfect house for them.
所以这边的 hollow 就是中空的，所以空心的管子就是 hollow tube。那么无价值的空洞其实也可以用这一个字。有时候我们说一个人做了一个很空洞的承诺好了，你不觉得可能会成真 ？A hollow promise。比如说 I hope their good intentions become realities instead of hollow promises。所以that usually happens so much in life， 太长了，对，所以大家就是做好自己的本分就好了，对，所以这是一把道具，这个道具刀，这种也是一种工具，一种道具。那么刀片呢，它只要压在某物上，刀片就会消失在空心手柄中，所以它不是真的 stab into a person's body， 它只是缩回去而已。
Yeah, so in the movies they make it look real. Of course, you have to act like oh, like right to show that it really hurts. Okay, next the article says similar props include retractable needles and swords. Okay, needles are like, for example, when you like go to the doctor, they have surgery. I hate looking at stuff like that because I'm afraid of needles. So luckily to learn, like, you know, that's retractable. I always thought it was real. We also see swords, which is a noun, and it's a weapon that has a long metal blade and is sharp and a handle. You can usually think about pirates, samurais, or knights. They all use swords to fight. We can also use it in a sentence like this. All Roman warriors learned to fight with swords at a young age.
所以呢 sword 就是剑，那如果那种以前我们看电影的剑客 swordsman 就是剑客，很厉害。所以类似的道具呢，就是可以包括伸缩的针跟剑，不只是刀子哦。
Yeah, so they can make a lot of these sharp objects feel completely safe when they're using it on set. So much fun. All right. Well, we do have more to learn, but before we do that in the next day, we have our For You chat. I have a question that says, do you think prop weapons sound completely safe?
Not really sure because personally I think there's risk in everything, but as long as everybody is trying their best to be safe, I think it's not that dangerous.
Yeah.
But still it's kind of risky, maybe like 5%.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think prop weapons are completely safe as long as you don't make it too real or like, you know, you have to make sure that the knives and the swords and the blade really are blunt and that the materials used are very, very safe for people. But I think when it comes to guns, it's very tricky because I don't think real bullets or even empty bullets should be used because there was a situation that happened with the actor Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Basically, he was shooting a movie and he accidentally fired a gun with real live rounds, meaning real bullets, and then he accidentally killed somebody. Yeah. So imagine being the actor and thinking, fake gun, pew pew, and then
you killed somebody.
Yeah,
that's tragic.
That's very tragic. I mean, I don't think it's completely his fault because he's the actor. Maybe he didn't know. So maybe it was in the hands of, the prop master or whoever to make sure it should be safe. But I think for guns, that's the only thing where I feel like maybe we shouldn't really have real guns on set, or if they really are shooting, maybe it needs to be a water gun.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, pew pew.
Make it a one that looks very real.
Yeah, use a water gun or something, and then do a close up of the real gun or something. Yeah, so that's the only thing where I think it's not safe. But
true.
Anyways, you guys can talk about this with your friends. And do you think that these props are safe and they should be allowed on set? You can talk about it. We do have more to learn in the next day, so don't forget to stay tuned. But that's all the time that we have today. So we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Pub. Jason met his friend at the pub to drink some beer and play some games. Stab. In the story, the character was followed down a road and stabbed in the back by a stranger. Tap. While Vera was focusing on her work, a sudden tap on the shoulder made her let out a cry. Blade. The blade of this old saw was too dull to cut through the wood, so we will need a new one. Hollow. Some animals use the hollow tree as a safe place to hide from larger animals in cold weather. Sword. The soldiers use swords to protect themselves and attack their enemies during the fight.
智慧小补帖
Syrup. Transparent. Vinyl. Rustling.